So let me talk a little bit about IP conflicts. This is just when you know it looks like some devices are having the same IP addresses for some reasons, right? It could be based on misconfigurations. Maybe instead of allowing your DHCP to do the automatic assigning of IP addresses, you try to do the IP assigning by yourself. So this can happen, or maybe for some technical issue, or once in a long time, near impossible scenario when the DHCP reassigns an IP address again to another device on the network. So that is just like saying two people having the same name and you're trying to, if this guy's name is John and the other person's name is John and you call John, basically the two of them will respond, right? And then there will be kind of like a confusion, who is this message intended for? So yeah, that's what IP conflict means. So it can be solved by manually reassigning. If you see that you're the one that erroneously assigned an IP address to another device with the same IP address, you can reassign it or refresh your DHCP server so that it can fix some of those issues that can arise. We also talked about how we can use traceroute and ping. Okay, we decided to skip that for now, but we'll be talking extensively on that when we are doing the networking properly. So about operating system, we explained in earlier times that they are the software, the mother software on which other softwares rests in your computer. So if you're using your phone right now, you're able to download an application, or you're able to use the application that came with the phone because there is an underlying operating system. There is a software on which everything is sitting. So I'm very sure you are conversant with Windows. Well, if you're not, then Windows is the most common ones that most people use. If you buy a system right now, it's more than likely that the software, the operating system that is going to come with it is called Windows. It's going to be Windows operating system. So that is usually easier to use. People think it's easier to use, and it's very, very graphical, and there are a lot of applications that are out there for Windows-based users, and people think the interface is user-friendly and a lot of things like that. But that's one example of an operating system. Technically, your mobile phone is going to be running on Linux if it's Android, unless if you're using an Apple phone, which is going to be using the iOS operating system. But that's for phones. And if you're using a desktop, if you're using a laptop, then most likely you're going to be using Linux or Windows or Mac operating system. Mac operating system is the operating system that comes with all MacBooks, that's all Apple laptops. Linux can be downloaded, you can download it by yourself. It's hard to see a system that will by default come with a Linux operating system, but that's because it's a computer we're talking about. There are some peripheral devices, there are some the operating system that come with some equipment, maybe like the switches, the routers, some of those ones that you'll be interacting with. Many of them are also going to be Unix based, let's say Linux now. So knowing Linux is very, very essential if you're going to be a technical person. And one of the times we are going to extensively discuss operating systems, and we go deep as we can get. There's no learning everything, but we'll go as deep as we can get, and then you'll continue on your own from there. So these are the three major operating systems that you're going to interact with as long as you are an IT guy, either an IT administrator, cyber security professional, a programmer, any of those like that, you're going to be interacting with these different operating systems. A file system is the technology for file management in your computer. So, well, Windows use the new technology file system, that's NTFS, and so the file management is done by that. And it's the key takeaway for the sake of this particular session is the fact that it can allow you to do encryptions, and you can set permissions for files. I mean, you can control who accesses what files and how they access the file, and then you can also hide content of some files so that people are not able to see it without without your consent or without your permission. If for one way or another they are able to get their hands on it, they might not be able to read it like that. So yes, then the ones for Linux is the ext4, which people really believe to be reliable and more optimized, right? So yeah, again, these are foundations. We're going to explain and explore them in more depth in our subsequent sessions. So installing and upgrading an operating system. Why I included this part in this slide is because we talked about you buying a PC and by default it comes with Windows operating system. Then what about when you want to change it to Linux because you're a cybersecurity guy that needs to learn Linux, right? What about when you want to install another operating system different from the one you want to be using two side by side? It is very possible. That's to say you can have a Windows operating system and still also have a Linux operating system, and then it's possible to have an operating system and instead of dual booting them, you can run another operating system on top of one in the case of virtual machines. So yeah, but let's say you want to remove an existing operating system and put a new one, replace it with a new one. So you have Windows and you want to replace it with Linux. We are going to do this process practically in subsequent classes, right? So you see it visually and you can try it by yourself with your computer. But basically what you do, you just back up the files in your system. In this current one, maybe you can get an external hard drive. We talked about hard drives as secondary storage location, right? You can get a flash drive, whatever it is that you think is important in your system, you store it in that external device. And the process of reinstalling a new operating system most of the time completely wipes your files. So that's why backing up is important. Then you can use if you have the disk or the new operating system installed in a USB drive, you set it there and follow the prompts, and then your new operating system is installed. And if the system requires driver, you can, if it's not automatically installed on installation of the operating system, you can also go to their websites officially and download them, or allow your system to do automatic upgrade of drivers, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to end this one now so that I'll have more time to talk about this particular slide, right?